13B, Fear has a new address. Oh boy, we are gonna start with a hot take, aren't we? 13B was one of the most recommended films from many different sources while I started preparing this list, and was in fact the first movie I watched for creating this tier list in the first place. And my immediate thought after finishing this movie was, I think some of you may have suggested this film while wearing your rosiest tinted glasses. You know what? Let's start with the positives, because this movie definitely has a lot of stuff going for it. Starting with the fact that you can definitely tell that this film is a labor of love. I'll be honest, I don't really bother with Bollywood films much these days, primarily because they feel so fake, superficial and artificial, not just in terms of their content but also in terms of the creative effort that went into their production. Don't get me wrong, they sure do love to burn money to entice a quick dopamine rush from the audience, but the on-screen antics often lack a sense of personality and authenticity, if you catch my drift. Meanwhile, just the opening minutes of 13B have enough creativity oozing from every pore of it to convince you that the filmmakers are truly passionate about what they're producing. The film starts with this really eerie montage of CRT televisions being assembled with the film credits being overlaid, and can I just take a minute to appreciate all the effort that went into the text and its effects and animations. It's just brimming with character and imagination and creativity, and the creativity doesn't quite end there. We are then welcome to the opening scenes of the film, which introduce the lead characters of the film one by one from the perspective of different doors of the home. Oh wait, I think I missed the plot synopsis. So basically 13B tells the story of Manohar and his family who move into the titular apartment 13B and realize slowly that there is something very wrong with their apartment, mostly evident by the fact that the television every day at 1 pm 13 automatically tunes into a TV serial with characters who are basically stand-ins for Manohar's family that predict the family's future at least a few hours from then. Some of it good, but most of it being gruesome and messed up and disturbing. Yeah, a TV show that predicts the future. Yeah, a TV show that shows the future. I challenge modern Bollywood to come up with a film that is this creative. The creativity goes even further. This is one of the most uniquely stylized films on this list and maybe in all of Indian horror media, starting with the color palette. It is constantly evolving based on what's on screen, but it's mostly muted and desaturated for most of the film, communicating this sense of dread and hopelessness. And not in your typical movie desaturation way, it looks almost like a black and white film with just enough colors seeping in. The cinematography and the direction as well does come into being as imaginative as possible whenever the opportunity presents itself. All in all, the technical aspects of the film are simply way ahead of its time, which is kind of ironic considering how the rest of the aspects of the film are doing quite the opposite. And now we get to the negatives. You see, despite its unique setting, imaginative concepts and technical sophistication, the film unfortunately plays out like a mega serial or the soap opera as the kids call it these days, with the writing and the dialogues being melodramatic and especially over the top, bordering on cringe. It feels unnaturally dubbed as well, almost like a parody of Bollywood films, like one of those reels of South Indian films being dubbed on Hindi you'll see on Instagram. You know, like one of those.
तो इसका पार्टी प्लान ऑफ है, लगता है बीवी का खौफ है.
Yeah, one of those. Obviously, I'm exaggerating, but the script and the dialogues are a bit too corny and campy for my taste, but the actors, especially Madhavan, is fully committed to bringing the script to life, so it's kind of funny at times, even if the filmmakers didn't intend it to be. Now, for any other film, this would be a positive for its pure entertainment value, but for 13B, this is an extreme negative considering how seriously the movie wants itself to be taken. This is not helped by the fact that outside of the unintentional humor, the writing is barely engaging, with the film feeling dry, bloated, and padded out. In fact, I would say it would have been better if some scenes played out without any dialogue or some scenes had been entirely cut out altogether. Speaking of which, the next issue is with the pacing. It literally took me around 3 sittings over the course of a few days to get through this film. And it's not just the fact that it is a very long film, clocking in at around 2.5 hours or more, but it's more to do with the fact that while there are a lot of interesting things happening on screen, they are not exactly paced very well, especially in the first half. And it's not just about the script and the writing, the actual story as well, despite being very original and full of potential and creativity, is very amateurish when it comes to finally providing answers, and it kind of abruptly resolves itself in the most unsatisfying manner imaginable. I mean, no spoilers, but Chekhov's gun, more like Chekhov's bazooka, I would say. It's almost like the film is traveling between two chronological extremes, with the technical side of the film being way ahead of its time, while the thematic and narrative elements of the film still stuck in the good old days of Bollywood masala filmmaking. Did I also mention that there are 2 spicy item number songs for absolutely no reason? Hey, I'm not complaining, but it's exceptionally out of place, especially the one playing with the closing credits. It's just so weird and not in a very good way. You know what's more weird? The film was simultaneously made in 2 languages, with Madhavan as the lead in both of them, but the rest of the cast being replaced to produce 13B, the Hindi film, and Yavarum Nalum, the Tamil film. Yeah, plus the writer-director Vikram Kumar being a South Indian filmmaker might just explain all the weird writing going on in the film, or maybe it's just a matter of the film being a product of its time, you never know. Regardless, I guess the film must have been groundbreaking at the time, considering all the things it brought to the table that were quite ahead for Bollywood cinema. But as it stands now in 2025, the film feels partially dated, and no amount of rose-tinted nostalgia will change the fact that this film in 2025 is overrated as hell. So let me just put it right there in the overrated tier. Don't be mad at me, as I mentioned earlier, The Exorcist, which some consider the best horror film of all time, also belongs there in my opinion. So, good company at least. Now, moving on from a film that is somewhat dated to a film that is so timeless that its remakes made even a quarter of a century later can't hold a candle to it.